Also,
Yes.
you forgot Michael A. Jordan.
Oh my God. I'm screaming. Is that the twin? So it's Michael A and then Michael B.
Yeah.
I am obsessed.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jamie.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid. See dead.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Here's Johnny.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie,
And Nikisha.
where we share our love for all things scary and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Welcome everyone.
I have new lenses. Ooh.
They're very cute.
Thank you.
I love a nice box frame. I need to
I
get into
know.
getting
I wasn't sure if it would look well on my face, but I just went for it and I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I feel like we have similar face shapes, and so that's what you're making me want to
Do we?
get them. Yes. We have our nice cancer sweet round faces.
I
But we're
know.
actually
Do you feel like there's so many things that are like, these are all bad for round faces? Like there's so much hate on round faces,
I know, but there's
right?
just I think that is just a societal thing because people think that it's a beauty standard is something else, but round faces are amazing.
You're
So
right. You heard it here first, folks. If you have a round face, we love you.
we love you, we accept you, and if you're a Cancer on top of that, then twice as nice, you know.
You're super cool.
Super cool. But we're not here to talk about the lenses of our faces. We're here to talk about horror. I don't know what I was trying to segue it in a nice way.
I loved
but
it. I thought it was a
Okay, great.
spectacular segue.
But we're here to talk about the 2025 American horror film Sinners.
What y'all doing? Just step aside and let me on in now.
Why you need him to do that? You big and strong enough to push past us?
Well, that wouldn't be too polite now, would it, Miss Annie? I don't know why I'm talking to you anyway. Smoke.
Don't talk to him. You talking to me right now. Why you can't just walk your big ass up in here without an invite, huh? Go ahead. Admit to it.
Admit to what?
That you dead.
Let's dance.
Let's dance. Actually, that needs to play at the end of this episode. Donna Summer. Is that Donna Summer? I think it's Donna Summer. Let's dance.
Last Dance?
Oh, Last Dance. My brain.
Let's dance.
Oh.
The last
Let's
dance.
dance or Let's
Tonight.
Dance or Last Dance. It still applies for Sinners.
It does. They both
So-
apply. Yes.
Yes. So we're talking about Sinners, all things Sinners today. This movie was written, co-produced, and directed by Ryan Coogler, and it stars Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Jack O'Connell, Wunmi Mosaku, which every time I see her, I think of Lovecraft and get upset all over again that it was canceled because she was so great in that
Yeah.
series.
And His House.
And His House. Oh my God, how can I
Yeah.
forget His House?
But also,
Yes.
you forgot Michael A. Jordan.
Oh my God. I'm screaming. Is that the twin? So it's Michael A and then Michael B.
Yeah.
I am obsessed.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jamie.
I had to say it. Oh my God.
Oh, that was genius. And I loved it. So
I didn't even come up with that on my own, but I needed to repeat it after I'd read it because it was so funny.
Well, and I have never heard it. So thank you for sharing that. Yes. So Michael A and Michael B. Jordan. Also, rounding out the cast, we have Jamie Lawson, Omar Miller, Delroy Lindo, and making his feature film debut, Miles Canton, who did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So heavy spoilers for Sinners. I'm sure we're going to get into all of the things, not only within this movie, but all of the themes that are represented in this, how it was made. I'm excited to talk to you guys about just fun facts. Even up until we started filming this episode, I was in a Instagram hole of all of the
Sure.
Sinners videos it was sending me.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
And
Yep.
just
yeah.
getting
I'm
even
in
more
there
content.
currently.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm in that too, for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
So I am obsessed and excited that we can have this outlet to talk about this wonderful movie. So heavy spoilers, and Jamie, please hit us with all those trigger warnings.
Yes. Woof. There's a lot.
Wolf. Yes.
Oh,
So, there are vampires in this film. There is a lot of racism in this film. I mean, this takes place in 1932
uh,
in Mississippi.
In
Uh,
Mississippi.
in
Wolf.
Mississippi, yep. So lots of racism. We see like there's references to the KKK. There is a lot of gun violence, insides on the outside. Um, a lot. This movie's very horny. There's a
Very.
lot of sexy things happening in it. So,
as the
you know,
color purple would say, push the button.
Oh, and I thought about that exact thing.
Yeah, me too.
In that moment, it's
100%.
So great.
Yeah.
yeah, very sexy. Gun violence, did I say that?
Mhm.
References to like mysticism
Mm-hmm.
vibes.
Mhm.
Um, anything, any
There's
other
also
like actual trigger warning? I'm trying to remember.
Is there I don't think it was a miscarriage. They didn't say how the baby passed, but there is a
Oh, but
Sure, that's
yes,
a good point.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
the death of a baby
Yeah.
definitely is a trigger.
Yeah. But I think that's pretty
There's
much
probably a million more things, but like that's
the root of it, vampires and racism.
yeah,
Honestly, you
basically.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. So if you don't want to experience both of those things at the same time, then maybe this movie is not for you. Though I still think you should give it a try.
Yes.
Yes. Great. Well, before we get into all things sinners, producer Brian has some words for us.
Yes. Hi, I'm producer Brian. I would love. Hey, YouTube. Hi,
What's up?
YouTube. I would love for you to follow us on social media. So definitely subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok at Talk Horror Pod, and also on Instagram at Talk Horror Pod. We just hit 18K on TikTok.
Yay!
And
wild.
growing. So that's really exciting. Thank you all for following. And our intention is to keep doing that. Again, the video, we do deeper dives sometimes into the movies we cover here. We're covering separate movies there, doing fun stuff, and just trying to expand our knowledge on all things horror. So we're having a good time over there. So definitely follow us.
Absolutely. At Talk Horror Pod on all platforms.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Great. Have you guys watched anything?
Nikisha, we watched
Oh,
a
God.
fuck ton of things.
Really? Tell me.
Because we
everything.
haven't recorded in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's right.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I don't remember the last time that like what we said we watched.
Yeah.
But TV wise, we're all caught up with The Last of Us.
Oh, I got one more episode, or the one that came out yesterday. I have to watch.
Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna do season 2 on this here podcast, so watch it, everyone.
Yes.
Then we
Yeehaw.
all yeehaw. Then we're also obviously watching The Amazing Race because we love it.
Yes.
So that's the TV stuff. So I watched The Surfer, the new kind of descent into madness movie starring Nicolas Cage. Check.
Oh.
I'll do a review on YouTube for that one. I did get a screener for it, so Nikisha, I can send you the link if you wanted to watch it.
Please. Yeah. Thanks.
That we watched Venom: The Last Dance, the third movie in the
Venom.
Venom trilogy.
Yeah. Okay.
We watched it. That's all I'll say.
Great.
Then
Yeah.
we of course watch Mamma Mia.
Of course, because
Um,
right after Venom, that's like next on the
yeah,
list.
Yeah.
this is actually in reverse order of how we watched it.
Oh, okay.
Then we watched Austin Powers and Goldmember because I love gold.
And Beyonce, just have to
Beyonce.
say that
Mm-hmm.
her tour is starting today as we are
Oh,
recording this.
yeah.
Oh,
Her
nice.
I
tour
did know that.
starts. Yes.
Then Sinners, then Raw. Stay tuned. We'll be
Mm-hmm.
watching Raw. We will next week is the Raw episode.
Mm-hmm.
Then we watch The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Nice.
And then The Rule of Jenny Penn, but we covered it on the podcast. So I'll stop there. I think that's maybe the last thing we. Yeah, or maybe
Nice.
no. We talked about The Hunger Games on the last. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's what we watched.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, that's great. I literally just yesterday or 2 days ago watched the first 2 episodes of The Last of Us.
Mhm.
Are you okay?
And I also watched part of a playthrough of The Last of Us for the second for part 2, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I already
Spoilers.
caught up.
Possible spoilers here. If you haven't watched The
No.
Last of Us season 2, don't just skip ahead like 30
Go away.
seconds or something.
30
Perfect.
seconds.
And then come back.
I won't say anything crazy, but the big event that happened, I reached
Sure.
that in the playthrough, watching the playthrough. So when it came up in episode 2, already prepared. But that's where I stopped because I was so just taken aback. So
That's
now
where you stopped in the playthrough?
Yes. So now I want to go back and try to watch the playthrough because I just need to know what happens before it happens and see what changes in the TV series because that's how I watched it the first time. So I feel like a fish out of water if I don't do it again.
Yeah. Were you deeply shocked?
In the playthrough, yes, mostly because
the first time you watched, right?
Yeah, the first time. Yeah. I mean, of course, I wouldn't be shocked the second time. But I deeply shocked, but I was more shocked that you play the character Abby before and after the event.
Totally. No, that's a really good point.
So that was the most wild to me.
Yeah.
But I, seeing how they did it, and of course, I didn't think that they were going to get to it in episode 2. I mean, it comes in like early in the playthrough, but I thought they would at least kind of let it linger a little longer.
Yeah, fair.
And they did not. And so watching it in episode 2, I was like, oh, okay, well,
We went there.
We went there. We got there. And it was excellent. But really excited about the continuing it and watching the playthrough and all that stuff. But I also rewatched Smile 2 because my friend was in town and he had never seen it. And
so you bought some Voss water bottles. You sat down on the couch.
Absolutely. We sat on the couch. All the lights are out. We're just trying to make sure that things don't come after us. And it still holds up watching it a second time. That's great.
Yeah. That's great.
So still scary, still moments that made me jump. And
did anything affect you more the second time watching it than it did the first time?
Oh, good question.
Aside from the bangers.
I mean, wow, yeah, the bangers. And it's so funny because I thought about you guys because that's what immediately my friend started. That was the first thing he remembered from the movie. He just started humming the song.
That's so funny. Yeah.
No, I think the car scene got me a little bit more.
With the friend at the end?
No, sorry, the car wreck.
The accident, the flashback. Yeah.
That caught me a little bit more, or just, I think that was the one thing that I was like, man, I know what's about to happen, but it's still so stressful.
Yeah.
It's just that being the catalyst of everything that has happened is wild. But my friend, trying to guess what's happening through all of it. And I'm like, you just have to watch, you just have to see. And then like when the second car scene happens with Gemma, and it's like, none of it is real. Spoiler, sorry. It's just great. It's great.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. So let's get into everything that is Sinners. Well, we need a plot summary from producer Brian. 2-minute plot summary.
Yeah, right.
What's the plot?
Minutes.
Please.
You can do it. Believe in
Okay.
yourself.
Believe it or
Oh,
not. Okay.
okay. So, producer Brian, you have 2 minutes on the clock. No more than 2 minutes
Oh yeah. Okay. Sure.
to describe the plot of Sinners in 2 minutes. Reminder, this is only 2 minutes. Ready, steady, go.
Okay, Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan play twins called Smoke and Stack, who come back to their Mississippi hometown in like early 30s, and in Jim Crow South. And essentially, they're World War One veterans, and they come with stolen money from working with in Chicago with gangsters. Anyway, they buy a barn and they kind of get the whole group together to try and create a juke joint. In this, we mean all the interesting characters in the world that Ryan Coogler creates, including their cousin Preacher Boy. Preacher Boy is a musician. His father is a preacher. That's why he's a preacher boy. And what we find out once they set up all this is that he has the musical power that basically like transcends space and time. His ability to play the blues is something that is coveted by it coveted by everything. What happens is it awakens vampires in the area. These vampires are Irish vampires, an allegory and symbolism for essentially kind of like the outside trying to take what you have, and sucking you dry of your culture. Anyway, they get stuck in the barn, and they need to basically like fight their way out. Mary, played by Haley, what's her name?
Steinfeld.
Yeah, Haley Steinfeld, ends up killing one of the brothers, but he turns into a vampire. And then there's a big showdown with all the vampires and all of that. They end up beating the vampires. And then we find out that the guy who sold them the barn was actually like a wizard in the KKK or one of the worst parts of that. And so Smoke just decides to like take his hoodoo necklace off that's been protecting him, put on his dog tags, and he kills all of them. And then there's an epilogue where Preacher Boy is now an older man, and we see the vampire versions of Mary and Stack come in, and they basically have this like conversation about like what it means to be free, and end of movie.
Yeah,
because Preacher Boy decides to not follow his father into religion, but to be his own person and follow the music.
And that's the plot.
Yes. So excited to get into that. I was about to immediately start talking about that exact moment, but
no.
No. We got to do our segments. We got order here. No chaos.
This podcast loves rules.
Based podcast.
Excellent. So first on the agenda is Trick or a Treat, where we let you know right off top, was it a trick? We hated it, or we don't know how we felt about it, or treat, we enjoyed it.
Trick treat.
Producer Brian, tell us, trick or a treat.
So this is a treat for me, but this is not just a treat. I think this has entered into my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time.
Amazing.
This is not only one of the best movie experiences I've ever had. This is an all-time great film, horror movie, however you want to define it. This is everything that I want from a horror movie, and I'll get more into that when we go into likes and gripes.
Gorgeous. Yeah, Jamie, what about you?
Yeah, this is like the sweetest of all treats, and I already updated my letterbox. It's already in my top 4.
Yeah, fantastic. And 3 for 3, big ass treat for me. It was fantastic, and I'm excited to get into why we all individually enjoyed it so much, because it feels like there is kind of something for everyone in this.
Sure.
Whether it be the themes, whether it be how it's shot, whether it be the acting, whether it be the gore, all the things. So let's get into it with our segment Likes and Gripes.
now our likes and gripes.
Jamie, start us off, please. Yes, you.
Me. I like everything about this movie. I like the Jordan twins, Michael A and Michael B. Um,
Gorgeous.
I I yeah, I Brian knows my affinity for Michael B. Jordan.
Yes,
Um,
her boyfriend.
yes.
That's like an actual
Yes.
crush.
Yeah, oh yeah. Even he
Amazing.
just said it. He's my boyfriend. So, so there's
Great.
that.
Like,
I
yeah,
like to
we
support
were going to
his
see
career.
both of her boyfriends in this film, Michael A and Michael B.
Michael A and Michael B. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So he's on the list. He's
Um,
like, if you met him, Brian would be okay. Like, you hook
I
up with
mean,
Michael B.
we didn't really
Jordan.
like discuss the logistics for a rule loving podcast. We didn't really discuss any of the
That's
rules.
true.
So
Okay, I got you.
But like, man, his arms in this movie, he looked so good in those suits. I'm so happy I got to watch him
everyone,
twice.
yeah. Well,
You
that's
got to
okay. That
see.
was one of the things that I think I said. I was like, man, the fact that because he's playing two people, gets two hot love interests and they both get sex scenes. I was like, how
Yes.
dare they
Mm.
do this to me? But
Right.
also, yes. Like everyone in this movie is so hot. Just
Hot and
all
horny.
doing
Literally
hot
and
things.
figuratively.
Yes.
But I like that this movie feels like it's tapping into like so many different things without it feeling messy or not well put together.
Mhm.
So like it has the element of like getting the band back together, of like recruiting all of the people who are going to be joining their juke joint, and that element of like, you get a little glimpse of each person's personality. They really want you to invest in these characters, and the time that you're spending with each of them individually is so meaningful, and like it's the perfect amount of like exposition but also character development, and like it's just, and even more so, the distinct personalities that you're getting between the twins, like they really stand out. Like I know that they also kind of color coordinated them so you know who is who, like
Yeah.
one's
Sure.
wearing red, one's wearing blue, but
Yeah.
I think like, but their personalities are clearly very different from one another, and I never had a
Mhm.
hard time distinguishing who was who.
Ever.
There,
Not
like, yeah.
once.
And this was something that Brian and I had talked about like right after we walked out of the movie, but truly from the jump, like recognizing that that first scene is really important to set up the fact that like one person is playing twins. We've seen this before in other movies, they use doubles and whatever, and like angles and whatnot. So it's important that this first shot of like, him handing the cigarette to himself, to his twin, like works. And they did such an effective job with it that like truly I never thought about it again. The thought like
Ever.
erased, like I never ever thought about it. I just was like, there's two of them, like that's it.
Yep.
And I'm just following this story.
Never considered that it was one person. Like from that moment on, it was truly two people. And again, as Jamie said, like I just got to shout out the costume department, Michael B.
Yes.
Jordan's like physicality work on both the characters. Obviously one had a grill and one did not. So like there are like clear markers, like even if their hat isn't on and stuff like that. But like fuck. And also just the fabric of how they, from a script perspective, how they talk to all the different people, how they present themselves, like even just how Preacher Boy interacts with Smoke versus Stack.
Yes.
Because also in the costuming there, you have Preacher Boy trying to be, when he's young, trying to be more like Stack with the similar like red hat that he has. And then when he's older in the epilogue at the end, he's wearing the blue cap because he wants his life to be more like Smoke. And like it's just like very clear like the trajectory of these characters because of how the creative team and the cast and the crew like presented these two characters. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So that was really excellent. The world building of like I want to know more about the indigenous vampire hunters that we got for like 5 seconds.
Absolutely.
That was what, like I really like, obviously, when you're taking a a theme or a genre or topic like however you want to define like vampires in horror movies, it comes with its own pre-existing lore and rules, which like
Mm-hmm.
we
Yes.
see that in this movie because it's just part of our understanding of what vampires do and their rules. But like getting more outside of that and like actually like, you know, the things that make this story unique, I would have loved more of that. Obviously there's already a lot packed into this movie, but like
Yeah.
even just that, the brief encounter and then being like, all right, sun setting, like fuck you guys, we're
Deuces.
out.
We were trying to help you. We
Yeah.
see you're part of the clan anyway, so goodbye.
Yep.
But also to that point, I think I said to Jamie after the movie, I was like, at one point I kind of forgot that I was so locked in that I forgot it was a horror movie, because like this was
Yes.
just an absolutely engaging period drama, and then like like they get to the barn and like nighttime, and I'm just like, oh, that's right. Like I'm like
Exactly.
I'm excited again. Like it was just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Love
But
it.
like, but the pacing is really like, yeah, it doesn't feel like too slow in terms of like when's the scary parts gonna like kind of creep back in, because like you're still spending time with characters that you like want to hang out with. Like I want to be at this
Yeah.
party
Great
and
Mhm.
point.
like just like kind of engage with all of these people, and again, just like truly excellent writing and acting. You know, little breadcrumbs of like conflict with like Haley Steinfeld, and like obviously her being really hung up on
Stack.
I forgot
Mhm.
who is who.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just like, yeah, this really unique family that's come together over the course of like the first half of the movie.
Mhm.
And I just want to piggyback off of what you're saying, and just because I love that you said you're just enjoying the ride with these characters, because
Mhm.
it's so true. You're so invested in them, in things wanting to work out for them, right? Like,
Yes.
because we don't know necessarily the history of Smoke and Stack in Chicago. We just know they're running away from something.
Right.
Eventually, it unfolds like what they're running away from and all that stuff. But in the end, you just see these people in this time period where it's so oppressive, and you're just like, you want these people to have a break. And
Mhm.
you're literally, the whole entire first half of the movie is just like, yes, get the people that you need to get together, get your
Yeah.
door man, get your people who are going to make all this good food so that you can just like have this good moment and have a break. And then when it really turns, it turns and the horror comes. But I agree with you 100%, Jamie. It's like at the beginning, I didn't even like care about the horror, and the horror comes at the very first scene, like in the church
Yeah,
house.
you're
Like,
introduced
yeah.
to it first, totally.
right.
It's
So like, you know, it's coming, but it's not a matter of like you're waiting like, oh, when is it gonna come? It's like you just know it's kind
yeah.
of there and it's floating in the back of
Mhm.
your mind that it's gonna come back.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, like, let's get into these characters, let's see what they're gonna do, let's like see if what they're trying to do works out, and you're just kind
Yeah.
of rooting for them in that aspect. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so now I think that brings us to probably one of the best musical sequences I've ever seen in my entire life.
In my life.
Like, I don't even know what else to say, but like so I tried to avoid as many spoilers as I could for this movie, but
Same.
there was like inklings of things that like people would just say and be like, the music, and I was like, go away, like I don't want to know. But I did hear that there was like this really incredible musical sequence, and so like when you get to it and you're like not only watching this like incredible musician just like on full display being amazing, but then like really demonstrating how music does transcend time, like just the influences that continue to be present to the here and now, and then seeing it fully realized via all of these like just dancers casually being intermittently like integrated within the dance floor in a way that like didn't feel weird. Like it felt very spiritual, and it's like these like, you know, these like spirit, these entities kind of moving throughout this space interspersed with the people who are like there in the present. and it just like fucking blew my mind, and like it was
Yeah.
so seamless. And then also like the way that they mixed the music like also felt really ethereal, so you're just like,
Absolutely.
I didn't know what was happening to me in that moment. I was like, am I being summoned? Like, what's happening? It was just like truly
It took my
like,
breath away.
yeah, it almost feels like
Literally.
an out of body experience. Like it was just
Yeah.
like it
Because
was uh,
well, that's
Like,
what we
no.
want to feel in
yeah.
Yeah.
music. And just a little like fun fact, and you probably have seen this or heard it, but I was watching an interview with Ryan, and he had mentioned
Oh,
that
your
at
good friend Ryan.
first, my good friend Ryan,
A first name
speaking
basis.
into existence, my good friend Ryan.
Please.
I just got chills. He was talking about how he originally wrote that scene for it to be a proper montage where you kind of
Oh.
go back and you're showing all of it, but it then kind of formed down the line into just incorporating all of these things at once. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy that that's the direction that it went, because I don't think it would have been as powerful if it was just I mean, it would have been powerful, but not as powerful as you actually being in the same presence in the moment with these different, musical like ancestry and
No.
cultures and all these things. So how he did that was like absolutely brilliant. And of course, Miles is an incredible musician, and he was like a backup singer for the musical artist Her. And
Mm.
that's how like he got discovered for this
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
role, because
interesting.
he was doing a concert. Someone in the audience was at the concert and contacted him to audition for
Hmm.
this movie. So he is like a musical kid anyway, all around, kind of considered
Wow.
a bit of a prodigy, and
Yeah.
learned how to play guitar like for this. But just all that incorporating like him, Miles, the actor, already being musical, and then being able to showcase in this moment with like
Mm-hmm.
all of these different people and all these different like decades of music. It's really beautiful, but it's such a great scene. Yeah.
And two things I want to add about that scene are, one, um I watch a ton of movies hoping that you get that scene. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
like statistically, like I've seen thousands and thousands of movies, and only 0.03% have that scene in it. And when you discover it in the movie theater with people who are just as engaged, sitting next to somebody that you know loves movies just as much as you, like, that's Jamie, um, or
Yes.
the random guy on my left, him too.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just a really genuinely spiritual experience, and like really spectacular. Um, the second thing I wanted to say about that scene is, after the movie, while I was waiting in the lobby, I overheard some people talking about how their gripe, if you will, was that they didn't really like the voiceover during that scene, and that because the voiceover had already happened at the beginning of the movie, they just felt like they were pandering to people like who of a lesser intelligence, if you will, to them who didn't remember something that I heard 40 minutes an hour beforehand. I
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly disagree with that, because
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the power of that scene is hearing those words underneath it, because I think that what Jamie said earlier triggered this thought in my head, is that like that's why it's also so smooth, because you're being explained what's happening, but it's being done in this like really miraculous, soothing type of like spiritual way. And you hear her voice at the beginning explain like what the vampires and stuff are, and the power of the music over the course of time. And then um you get to meet what Annie, I think is her name. You get to
Mm-hmm.
meet Annie, and then you hear the voiceover with that, and you know how spiritual. We've already seen her redo the hoodoo necklace, and we've already seen her like, we've already set her up as kind of their priestess, if you will, their leader,
Yeah.
in the spiritual world. And then you get that beautiful kind of like monologue backing it. I think that makes that scene even more powerful. So this is just a
Agreed.
public outcry to that gentleman in the lobby that I think you're wrong.
Yes. Same. Agreed.
Um, anyone else have anything on that particular scene?
It was just so fucking good. It really took
It
my
was.
breath away. I didn't expect it to move me as much as it did. I cried. Like there was
Yeah.
something very, it doesn't matter what color you are, what your background is, like music does that to people. It doesn't
Mhm.
fucking matter what it is. It could be a dumb emo song from the 2000s that I'm deeply
Whoa.
connected to, you know.
Well, calm
Don't
down.
call it dumb.
Sorry,
Don't
I'm
come for
sorry. I'm
me.
so sorry.
Don't call it dumb.
You're right. They're all, but it could be a musical, a song from a musical that I know in
Yeah.
context or out of context. It could be honestly like a, 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 like a Hebrew song I listened to in like elementary and in like Hebrew school, like that type of thing. Like it could be a Christmas song that I hear every year that reminds me of the season. Like it doesn't matter. Like music makes the people come together, as Madonna once said.
I mean, it's the truth. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is excellent.
But then also speaking of music, I like the music that's also happening outside.
Yeah.
Once everything starts going down and everyone's being attacked and things like that. um, So man, like some of those scenes were like really intense, like when Michael A attacked Michael B and then locked him in and then he like
Yeah.
Yeah.
escapes. Like that was really wild. But yeah, like later on when they're all dancing to the like Irish jig music,
Uh-huh.
like even that was really like intense and I
Moving.
was
Yeah. There's
um
like two things. One, I want to go back to the original scene that I forgot to say earlier. Ending that sequence with kind of like the fire within them kind of symbolically like burning down the barn around them, just like opening up the universe to them, but then showing the vampires seeing what's happening there because like they're transcending those walls at that point. I thought that was like a beautiful way to kind of like encapsulate that.
Yes.
And then the Irish stuff like really drew me in because like they hint at or explicitly say in the movie, like it's not the same, but he's trying to relate to them in the way that the British kind of like did the same very similar thing to what white people did to black people and black culture, the
Yes.
way that like the Brits kind of did that to the Irish and whatnot, and they a similar kind of like back and forth of racism of that nefarious behavior. And I thought that was real. I just thought it was really interesting as shown through them kind of using their spiritual music to show camaraderie and whatnot, and them using theirs to show their time and whatnot. And I just thought that juxtaposition was just like really fucking effective.
Absolutely. Agreed. Equally as moving. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
No, I'm just like trying to like I mean, I'm just talking about like the whole movie because I truly loved every part of this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I like that not everybody turns into a vampire. And like again, kind of
Yeah.
separating like the differences in personalities and like what everybody wanted and things like that. Like Stack turns, Smoke doesn't. Haley Steinfeld's character turns, Annie doesn't, and is like, you need to like follow through on killing me if I get bit. Like
Right.
I will not be a part of this.
Yeah.
And does, and it's like, oh, Mary, that's her name. And I think that's really like shocking to her in that moment. But I like that, they really stuck like it just again showcases that like there are these like distinct unique personalities despite this like weird kind of like vampire assimilation thing that's happening. and that they still have the autonomy to like make this decision. And I don't know, I really like that they were not just influenced to like join up, even though like obviously they have their whole lives and like other connections that could
Sure.
potentially influence why. So there was something about that I really liked. And And I also really enjoyed when all of those Klansmen got what was coming to them. That was deeply
Yeah.
Yes.
satisfying.
It had like
Um,
Inglorious Bastards vibes to it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
like another
Oh,
very different vibe shift at the end, like when
yeah.
that
Yes.
was happening, but it was like very welcomed. Because also it's like you're mourning all of these people who just like this terrible series of events just happened and they all died because like you can't save any of them once they become vampires. That's the rules that they've established here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it it feels very satisfying for there still to be some element of like someone getting their comeuppance in like a very like deserving way.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
After like something, because if I guess like if it just ended on the like on the sad note where it's like wow, everyone's gone now, like I feel like that would have made me feel so much worse walking out of this movie.
Yeah.
And so I feel
Definitely.
like there was something like just that it's kind of like wrapping up with towards the
Mm-hmm.
end, and like that kind
Yeah.
of really gave me the satisfaction. Because I still feel like sad. I mean, I have not stopped thinking about this movie since we saw it. I'm like still thinking
Same.
about it.
I
Yeah.
literally can't
But
get it
like
out of my head.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I anyway, so I really enjoyed that. And then I was really shocked at a post-credit epilogue scene that
Mm-hmm.
didn't come from a superhero movie. Although yes, he's made superhero movies, but
Right.
I thought that it was just really unique because it was really poignant. It wasn't just like something, I don't know, like pointless.
Right.
Um and and again like was very thematic with the kind of plot of the story, and like just really thinking about like him at the end, Sammy just saying like that was the best night of my life before everything
Mm-hmm.
went to shit, like that they both were like that was the best night of our lives before all of that happened, and like
Right.
just the reminiscing, and like that was like a gut punch that I cried at that point. um yeah, I don't know. This movie was incredible. I don't think I have any gripes with it.
Yeah. No, yeah, just piggybacking off of the epilogue. And then also, did y'all stay for the post credit scene at the end?
Yeah,
It's
when
Yeah.
just
he was
Miles like
With
playing.
singing.
him
Yeah,
just
Hmm.
playing it, yeah.
yeah.
Man,
And
the
playing
amount
the
of people
excellent.
that left and didn't actually see the first epilogue is
Oh
like
Oh
yeah. It was so weird.
no!
But like they were walking out while it was playing, and I was like, there's obviously something happening here. Like where are you going?
Right.
It was very
Where are you
strange.
going? But it
Yeah.
tied into everything so well because I thought it was so beautiful. Vampire Michael just talking about like even though he has immortality, right? And that's what he was trying to get everybody else to do because this
Hmm.
is how we fight, our enemies. It's by
Hmm.
outliving them. But him still saying like, but that day was the best day because that was the last time I saw sunlight and that was the
Hmm.
last time I saw my brother.
yeah.
Hmm.
Tears.
Yeah, that was
Just
when I was
absolutely
free.
incredible. And that's when I was free. And that's the whole thing. It's literally just like
So
them wanting to be free and live and just live their lives.
so
Yeah.
if I may for just a moment,
Yes.
this movie works because of one thing. This movie has a million things going on. This movie has Smoke and it has Stack and it has them as twins by the same actor. It has their background. It has all of that stuff. It has their two lovers. You have the Mary character and the Annie character. Then you have Smoke's background of like losing the baby, and then you have Stack's background of like basically their mom, like Annie's mom, Mary's mom adopting them and giving them a
Mm-hmm.
room and stuff like that. Then Mary's like a quarter black, and then you have like all of the getting the band back together stuff, and then you have all the supernatural stuff and the vampire stuff and the hoodoo stuff, and then you have there's the Native American scene, and you have the KKK stuff, and then you have all the other characters. You have the grocery store owners, and you have the Delroy
Mm-hmm.
Lindo character, and you have the married woman, and you have the doormat. You have all of these things, all of this trauma. There is so much going on in this movie that it should not work. But the reason this movie works because it should, like, to quote Nikisha, it should feel like a hat on a hat on a hat on a hat. There's too much going on. This is like a Ryan Murphy movie where like there's like everything is happening. You know what I mean? Like
To
you throw in the
everyone.
kitchen sink to
Yes.
everyone. But the reason this movie works is because this movie is about one thing. This movie is about freedom. That's all this movie is about. And everything that I just listed rolls up into that. And Jamie touched upon it a little bit before. Not everyone turns to a vampire because each person is defined. Each person in this movie, how they end up is defined by how they see freedom. Smoke decides to take the hoodoo necklace off, put on his dog tags because he is a warrior, and he decides to take out the Klansmen. But he knows that he's going to die in the process. And that is his freedom to be reunited with his family. Stack's version of freedom is to be able to spend eternity with Mary, someone he could not spend time with in real life, and do that. You have Annie deciding that version of freedom for herself, that she wants to die. She does not want to be a vampire. You have the vampires who are beckoning them into freedom. A different type of freedom.
Right.
And I think that they're genuine about it. I don't think that the vampires were racist. I think that they just it was kind of like an energy vampire where they suck the culture out of you and whatnot.
Yeah,
but then
like cultural appropriation vampires.
Yeah.
And then you have Preacher Boy who's freedom of religion, like his dad.
Yes.
Or like
Yes.
freedom of the music, the freedom that the music can bring you, the blues being supernatural and that they can bring you freedom. And then you have Preacher Boy's different version of freedom at the end. So what Jamie and you are talking about with that epilogue are, this movie has two distinct versions of freedom that it portrays, and one of them is Smokes and older Preacher Boy, and the other one is Stack and younger Preacher Boy. And that epilogue really just shows the differences between how they view their freedom. He doesn't want to be turned. He just wants to die when he dies. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. But this movie is about freedom. And if this movie was about two different things, we would probably be having a conversation like we do a lot of the times where a movie tries to be two different things and it doesn't work. Because this movie is one thing in script, in costume design, in cinematography, and it's just building to that one point. That's why it works, because everything is thematically tied together so that you can actually enjoy it and everything falls into place like completely. And even another small thing that I think is actually one of the more brilliant parts of the movie is when they're trying to use the Bible and Bible verses to kind of like ward off the vampires.
Yes.
And then they start reciting the Bible verses because the white people gave black people Christianity. And so the only thing that saved him was the hoodoo and their original cultural like
thing that
essence
they built.
That they built.
Thing that they built.
I just think that is beyond brilliant.
Yes.
And that's part of the reason why he rejects. Music is his people's culture. And that's why he rejects his father's like assimilation to the religion that was put upon him.
Yes.
And I just think that is just like, but it's all freedom. It's all tied into what you see as an individual's freedom. And that's what the vampires represent as well. Just like fucking brilliant.
Yes.
Just genius.
Yeah. And just to speak on the music part of it all, one of the more incredible scenes as far as music was when the drunk Delroy's character, I think it's called Slim or something. Anyway, they're all in the car and they pass by the
chain gang.
The chain gang, yes. And Delroy starts telling the story of his friend that he used to go and do music with, and saying what happened to his friend, which I want to commend Ryan Coogler for not actually showing that scene of his friend being lynched, and you're just hearing the undertones underneath it.
Yes.
Because we
that
don't
could have
need
easily
to
been a
see
cutaway.
it.
Right,
Nope.
exactly.
Yeah.
We don't need to see it. And that's
It's just as effective the way that he's describing it. You can see it in his face and his tone. Like
absolutely.
you're getting it. And then his like kind of breakdown into the song.
That's where I was going.
Ugh.
Into
Yeah.
the song is so powerful. And I just saw before we started this an interview with Delroy who said that scene was originally cut from the
Oh,
movie.
interesting.
Oh,
So
interesting.
first off, it was a 3-page monologue when he first got the script, but then they cut down the monologue and they filmed the scene. And after he said his monologue, it was improv that he went into a song. That song was improv, and Michael B. Jordan's line that was like, "Boy, you got a guitar, play," was also improv. He just kept rolling. And they originally cut that scene, but then Delroy was like, "Ryan, you need to keep the scene for X, Y, and Z reasons." And I'm so
Yeah.
glad he kept it because that was
Yeah.
so powerful to literally see in real time how
Yeah.
the blues has come out of the oppression of Black people in that
Yeah.
moment.
Mhm.
And it was just so beautifully acted and so needed, to your point, Brian, about the freedom of it
Yeah.
all. It was like coming from the oppression, and how do I find some type of freedom when I don't physically have it? Is literally, what can I do for myself? And that's create this music. That is my signal of freedom when I can't physically be free.
Yes.
And so to have that in there was just like, everything about this culturally was just makes me want to tear up. But
Yeah.
I think that scene was just absolutely incredible, how they literally wove in that music in that moment.
And you saying that makes me, this feels like a director's cut, but it's the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
Who said it? I forget. Was it a tweet? It may have been a tweet or a TikTok or a this or a that. I don't remember where I heard this, but someone said that like Ryan Coogler used his blank check movie on a vampire yarn about freedom and racism. Like, fucking men. Like
Yeah.
that's what he used his blank check on.
Yeah.
And it's already fucking,
And it fucking paid off.
Yeah.
Like
Amazing.
literally already paying off. And there was also in an interview, he said that because someone asked like, why vampires, and he was a fan of the book Salem's Lot. And he said, I eventually want to write a movie about, vampires. And the whole thing with it coming into like the 1930s, and the blues was from his uncle that passed right before Fruitville, or right after Fruitville came out. And I think this was like right
or
before
as autocorrect
Panther.
has changed our life, Fruitcake Station.
Fruitcake Station. I'm obsessed.
I didn't even see it. I was like typing furiously, and it was like, wow, great autocorrect. And I had to go back and reread the whole thing until I saw that I accidentally wrote fruitcake.
Fruitcake. I'm obsessed. Yes. But yeah.
That has happened to me too. That is not a Jamie's phone thing. That is like, that must be an Apple thing, because like I wrote Fruitvale and it changed it to Fruitcake.
Right, Apple.
They were like, this does not exist. Like, please.
Well, yeah, because Apple's in the fruitcake. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. But yeah, no, his uncle was big into blues, and that's how Ryan got into blues music. And so it was like, this was a tribute to his uncle and to like Salem's Lot, and just like put together, but in the best fucking possible way. Yeah.
Stephen King's always in there somehow.
Somehow, love it. Jamie, do you have any other thoughts? I'm so sorry that I'm like bombarding your.
No, I was hoping that you would go, and then if I think of anything else based on what y'all say, I'll just interject.
Yeah. Just because you said most of my stuff, I'll just piggyback off the last couple of things. I absolutely loved the portrayal of the vampires with the lights in their eyes.
So good.
And saw that it was practical. They had contacts, and so then how the lights were hitting the contacts,
you could
that's
see
how they
the
got
glow.
the effect. Yeah,
that's creepy.
Cool. Which was just genius, because when you had like the blurred images like of the vampires behind when like a scene was going on, but you see their eyes moving, I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. More fun facts. Older Sammy, Preacher Boy, is actually a Grammy-winning
Mm-hmm.
blues singer from Chicago named Buddy Guy, who Ryan's uncle used to go see all the time. And Ryan actually went to a show to try to recruit Buddy. And he said that Buddy had his whole family at the show. And his kids were like, you have to be in this movie, because they were all like Black Panther fans, you know, and they're like,
Yeah,
you
of
have to
course.
do this. So that's really cool. That is actually like a person who, and I think some of the guitaring is Buddy that Miles does. Like Miles does some of it, but I think Buddy does some of it
Like
too.
fills
the
in,
movie.
yeah.
Fills in, yeah. My only gripe, and I'm saying this as like tiny because we had talked about this already, was I did want the Indians to come back in some type of way to kind of like tie in things.
Have you seen the memes where it was like the only smart characters in Sinners, and it's like there's that meme of like that kid giving a peace out sign and then like disappearing. It's like the Native Americans.
Yes.
Like yeah.
Because that's
like,
what they did.
Sunsetting,
Bye.
peace.
It's like goodbye. And then my friend, and we have to bring this up because we love this movie too. My friend likened it to Twilight, which I didn't even put two and two together of vampires and like, you know, Indian culture. So I'm like, that's really
that's a good
fantastic.
point. I was actually waiting for the baseball scene in this film, but we never got it, and that's fine. That's fine.
We got the juke scene. That was in place of the baseball scene. Yeah.
Yeah. When I think of memorable scenes, these two are in the top 10.
I also just love how this movie is about race, but not like just straight oppression. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great point.
You know, we talked about how the whole lynching scene, it was just sound effects underneath, and we didn't have to actually see things. So, and there were so many moments of people just being free. So I just really enjoyed that. Yes, this movie is about race, but it wasn't just oppression. And we talked about that. I love the Irish jig as well. I thought that whole thing was gorgeous. And the fact that he actually, the lead vampire, I can't think of his actual actor name right now, my apologies, but used to do
Jack
that type of
O'Connell?
Irish dance. Yes, Jack used to do that kind of Irish dance, so it was just like getting it back in his body. It was great that he got a chance to do that again.
He's also from Skins. Just saying, another cast member who got their start on Skins that is in the world of horror. We have several now.
Who else? Do you remember?
Nicholas Hoult and oh, my whole brain went blank.
Oh,
I'll get back to you.
Yes. Couple last things. I loved kind of the semi
Daniel
Tarantino
Kaluuya.
level of blood. Oh, Daniel.
Right.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Daniel, your friend.
My friend Daniel. Yes.
Just me and Daniel. Me and Dan.
Daniel. Dan is what I like to call him.
Yeah, well, only in the sunken place.
Yeah. The Quentin Tarantino like level of blood kinda in some parts like was great to me because it was not too over the top, like not quite at Quentin Tarantino, but like kind of almost there. And I just love that in horror movies. We already talked about the voodoo, witchcraft, Louisiana stuff. Love that. Literally, the movie made me want to like research my family because like my whole entire family is from Louisiana, like different parts of Louisiana. So it was like me on the phone and calling my dad and be like, "Do you remember this? What happened in this? Like, where did our family come from?" Already talked about that. I also love, Brian, you touched on this too, of just the Irish vampires trying to just draw community. And I think it's really cool that the master vampire had to have been from like a time before there was this harsh of racism, so that he's just like, yes, we're oppressed. We came from the same kind of like background. And so we just want to try to connect together. And I had a conversation with my friends about this afterwards. It was kind of like before the assimilation of like lower class white people, when Irish weren't considered white at the time, but then slowly were brought in, you know, to have that divide of white and black. But it feels like the master vampire came like before that time. So when when all of them were oppressed with the people of color. So, and someone made an Instagram post about how Ryan Coogler's villains, you can kind of empathize with them. Like if you think about Michael B. Jordan and Black Panther, and in some aspects.
For sure.
So I thought that was really cool that that's kind of like the same similar aspects, not exactly the same, but like similar aspects of like empathizing with that, because he's just trying to make them all free. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's all that I have.
because I'm just looking up the Irish potato famine. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was like 1845 to 1852. Like if I forget if he said anything specific about like how far back he's from or whatnot, but like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I also thought it was interesting that like he kind of wanted like to, you know, like his version of freedom was like seeing his family again by using the power of like the
Of
banjo.
Sammy, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
Hmm.
yeah. Uh-huh.
do I think that I wish that had been like explored a little bit more? Yes. Do I
Mm-hmm.
care? No, because like that's not the point of the movie. It's not that would have just been like this
Right.
weird plot that like I didn't care too much about. Like that was enough
Oh
for me.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree 1,000%. That would have felt like a hat on a hat. Like you don't need to give a
Yes.
vampire a reason. It's a
Right, right.
vampire.
Yeah.
Like
He also could be making it up. Like that's what attracted him to,
yeah.
but if he gets
Mm.
Sammy as a vampire, then like they can be, you know, then they can experience that but that didn't bother me at all.
Yeah. And one last thing about just the vampire of it all in general. There was one Instagram I saw that was praising the fact that nobody questioned Annie when she was like, these people are vampires. Like that whole
I
scene
saw
with
that too.
cornbread. Yes. I thought that was,
Yes.
but that made me think, oh, that's so true. It's not like, oh, we need to see for ourselves. It's like, no. The minute
Yeah.
that she was like, cornbread, why are you asking to come back in? And
They
then
all
Michael
were
B.
like
Jordan,
like
yeah.
that's weird, but also they trusted her. Again, in the community, she was a trusted member of.
Hmm.
It's not like she showed up there and like as the cook, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not eating that like witch's food." Like no one was
Oh,
like
true,
that.
true, true,
You know what I
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean? Like she was a
Mm-hmm.
No.
trusted.
Very well respected.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. But I thought that was so funny because you get so invested in it, and when we talk about things like this in horror, we're always like, why aren't people asking more questions? Why, or if you see something, why are you not immediately acting? Why
See
are you asking
something,
too many
say
questions?
something.
Say
yeah.
something. But in this, I never got that aspect. It was just like
No.
she said that this is how it is, and everybody fell in line, and it's like, yep,
Hmm.
that's the move.
Yeah,
That's what
one
we should
Yeah.
be
hundred
doing.
percent.
But yeah, that's all of my stuff. Brian, take us home.
I mean, we've already talked about a lot of it. The freedom thing was like the main point that I wanted to make, but
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to talk a lot about how much spit went into people's mouths in this movie. um, um, but
Horny.
Yeah.
in all seriousness, here are some things that I really like. Some of the details that I really liked about this movie as well. I really liked the doorway scenes. I just
Mm-hmm.
thought that they were very uncomfortable. He has this way of like you knowing that like he's a fucking vampire and he can't come in, but you also are just like, why is this the most tense scene I've ever watched? And when he sticks his hand out and he like tries to
Oof.
grab him, like I knew it was gonna happen. And it was still genuinely shocking and scary.
Yeah.
Um, I I think that it was so perfect that Mary was the one to kind of turn first and then like
Mm.
get everything started because she's the one in between both of them because as she says like her grandfather was black or however she says like
Yeah.
so she
Hmm.
feels connected to both sides but that's how they get in. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like through the mixed person. And I thought that was like really fucking interesting. That
Mm-hmm.
choice. And it really paid off. That scene where she's deeply uncomfortable on the log with them outside
Yeah.
when she gets turned was an amazing sequence.
Yeah.
Um, just kind of the white person optimism that she has, the white person like doesn't feel racism version of that, like
Well, sure, because
allowed
it's privilege.
it's
Like
the privilege
she
that
has
she
the
feels.
privilege. Yeah.
Yeah, allowed her to get closer to them without like feeling anything off until the very
Hmm.
end.
Hmm.
I thought
Right.
that was just like
Right.
really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I will say that uh, this is since having a kid, this is one of the first movies that like the kid part, the like losing a child part, like really fucked me up and when she says when they're in the back room in the gambling room, the casino area of the juke joint, and she says she says something to him where it's like, promise me you won't let me turn, and then she says, I've got someone waiting for me. And then I knew what she meant, and then they cut quickly to the little grave and then come back. That was wildly effective. And then at the end, also at the end, um another moment that I loved is he lights up when he's dying, he lights up the cigarette, and then she says put the smoke away or whatever it is. She's literally telling him to leave smoke, and I just want Elijah. Without saying that, so that he could be accepted into his version of freedom. I'm gonna cry. Just so fucking brilliant, and everything about it was amazing. This movie was just so up my alley because of the allegory, of the symbolism. It's actually scary. It's trying to say something, and it's doing it so effectively. That last epilogue was just incredible. I really could talk about this movie for another 12 hours. So buckle up, everyone. This is the longest podcast. No, I just thought everything about this was truly this is why you go to the movies. This is why art exists. This is everything that I want from a movie. Truly, the acting was as we talked about already. The two of them. There I go. The twins played by one person. Yes. Amazing, very sexy. It's sexy and sexual in an unapologetic way. Yeah. And that's a part of the freedom.
Ryan Coogler, for highlighting how important going down on women are.
Push the button.
How important. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Just everything about that was just I don't know, wasn't afraid. This movie wasn't afraid to do what it wanted to do. And it was just so well constructed. Also the firestorm vampire. Oh, this is what the firestorm when he dies is awesome. Something else I wanted to say too is in that Native American scene where they're chasing him. First of all, the vultures just showing up all the time on the buildings. Whether you see them as vampires who have because he could fly, maybe they turn into the vultures and not bats. That you could that's one thing you could assume, that his posse is there with them that way. Another thing that you can assume is it's just a foreshadowing or foreboding or whatever it is. There are lots of ways to to slice and dice those birds. But when he gets to the house of the KKK members, his ability, just the script in terms of him changing his tone of how he's going to get invited into the house, just based on the fact that he saw the robes in the house and all of that, just goes to show that he's not racist. He's playing the game. You know what I mean? The vampire. I mean, I never saw the vampires as outwardly racist. They adapted to what they needed to do in that world based to get what they wanted based on that. And I just think that was just incredible. It's a shape-shifting culture sucker, as we said before. I don't know. I'll stop now. Oh, I had one gripe about this movie. I had two gripes about this movie. My first gripe is that I didn't see it in 70 millimeter IMAX.
Oh God, same.
Yeah.
My second gripe is that okay, hear me out.
Oh God.
I realized this after thinking about the movie. In the scene where they're fighting with the vampires when Annie dies, when after what's her name from the store says come in, we'll fight you. Also justified. I get why she did it because of the character that she is and what she saw as freedom. Her freedom was her family. She her family, the Asian family, was the only between the black people and the white people. Like she has her business, but she is in between everyone. All she had was her family. And then when her privacy was broken into through the mind hive, like the hive mind, like I get why she would just, and then they threatened her daughter. That's all she has. That's her legacy. The store and her daughter, like I get it. Like totally justified. I'm not saying the right decision, but justified. Anyway, the vampires come in and they're fighting everybody and they start biting a ton of people. And I'm like, oh shit. And then they end up leaving and I'm like, wait, they bit into a ton of people. How is everybody still here and alive? Like, what the fuck did I miss? And apparently I saw and that was just weird in my head, but I moved past it.
Like,
Apparently
who were the extra people in the building that got
fighting? Yes, same.
But they were there, but the camera, I just needed 1 or 2 extra shots of the people of those extras. I just needed that for my brain. That I even just one where it's people in the corner being like, oh yeah, maybe we should do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just needed one more shot because I'm like, oh my god, all my favorite people are dying. And like, no, they're not. Like just
there's still extras that are there.
Yeah, like I just needed some red shirts in there to
for sure.
You know, like that's the only thing. But on second viewing, that's not going to bother me because I know that they're there because apparently they are in the background in places like and stuff. But like, I just wish that was a little bit more pronounced so that like I don't know, or maybe that was the point that I'm supposed to like think that in the chaos, who are these people? What's happening? Anyway, yeah, but I fucking love this movie. I truly believe it's one of my favorite horror movies.
Yes, I just also want to piggyback on the tension building that he creates, which I thought was really clever. Going back to the scene, Brian, that you were talking about with Haley's character and all of the Irish vampires, and it was going between that scene and back to the juke joint where people are still having a good time and partying and stuff. And so like some tension will build with like Haley's character, but then it would cut directly back into the juke joint. And then it would build some more tension with Haley and then go back to the juke joint. And I just really thought that that was engaging to not just have that whole scene kind of play out, but really going between the two so that you're like, what am I watching? What am I, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Or we know what's going to happen, but it's like, can we just get there? It's like, oh my gosh, but I think it's great in the context of the movie because you are just on the edge of your seat, just like knowing something is going to happen and like, oh my God, just like relieve that tension. But I just love how it kept building it up in that way, which is great. And also just talking about the horniness of the whole movie, my friend Ryan, he mentioned that he just wanted people to talk how they would talk, in that time frame free because, you think of these people as your grandparents or your great grandparents and they're maybe more put together or pulled up, but it's like, no, they used to be teenagers like us. They used to act in that way. So like, why not give them the freedom to act in that way,
That's, yes, the freedom of all of that, like yeah, absolutely. Like that scene in her hoodoo hut where like she's like, your body didn't forget me, like
work
just and her and Smoke's sexual relationship is so far different from Stack and Mary's, and that's another interesting thing outside of it just being sexy, just from a character perspective. That's another very interesting thing that to watch. That both feeds the narrative and the themes of freedom, but also like separating the characters and just reminding myself that those are two different characters played by one person, Michael A. and B. Jordan.
Michael A. and B. Great. Any last thoughts before we move on?
I will never have last thoughts about this movie.
Yeah.
Well, for this particular moment. Forever and ever. Actually, let's just like watch it again, put it on live. Like we're just
can't wait
while
we get to watch it again.
I wish I could go back to the movies and see it again, but that's just I'm so happy. So I made dinner reservations at a restaurant. That's where you make them, and and then I said to Jamie, because we had planned this date night, and I was like, I made these dinner reservations, but also like I would also see Sinners. So like just like
mm-hmm.
whatever you want, and then a day later she's like, I'm definitely leaning towards Sinners, and damn, I'm so happy we made that decision. This was so worth the
Yes.
babysitter. Like this is worth a second babysitter. Like that's how much I love
Mm-hmm.
this movie. I can't wait to
Mm-hmm.
absorb it.
Absolutely.
And I'll say this. This is my last thought. Movies are going to have to work really fucking hard this year to win my top spot back.
Oh yeah.
From this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And
I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it had literally everything. And I'm also just so curious how I hope that it gets the recognition that it deserves from the award season. Even though we found out that people are voting in the academies that don't even watch the fucking movies.
My
But
God. That makes me so. What do you mean they're not watching? Like, I can't.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But to know that it, even if it doesn't get that acclaim, how much of an impact it is just having on the people,
well,
and box office wise, like
yeah. So
great.
two things. One, it's the first real like event movie of this year so far that everyone's talking about, all of that. Two, I saw a podcast clip where it was like, you know, is this going to be the Everything Everywhere All at Once, where like it came out early in the year and it just like sticks with everyone through the whole year, or is this going to be like a Dune 2 where it's a genre film that gets nominated but like it's not going to win anything? I mean, I think it could win a lot of music awards because what's his name?
Ludwig
Göransson is a 2-time Oscar winner, and like you know, like that could be. Like it would be as shocking if it didn't get a song nomination, like that type of thing. But I think this should get in reality. This should be getting a Best Picture nomination, a director nomination, a screenplay nomination, 2 Best Actor nominations. If you get what I'm putting down. You know, cinematography, all of that stuff.
All of it.
And I said in the next 10 years, a horror movie is going to win Best Picture. And last year with The Substance and this year with Sinners, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we're getting closer to that. You know,
Let's
like
go.
This is, oh, but the last thing I did want to say is I don't remember now. No, I think I said it already. Great.
Okay. Great.
And
cool.
break.
Excellent. Great. Well, let's move on to our next segment, brains.
Tasty.
Tasty, tasty. Michael A. Michael B. Tasty. Yes. I don't know. Okay, so there's a lot of themes in this movie, and one of the themes is like, you know, finding your own way, identifying who you are, just really kind of speaking on like the whole Sammy situation of it all, and just defining who you want to be. And just like build a new life with new identities or whatever. And so my question to you, Jamie, is what does seeking identity and self-awareness do for your mind, and why is the practice of really having a deep dive into getting to know yourself important, especially within cognitive behavioral therapy?
This is a great question.
Thank you.
You really mined the question out of that. Like,
yeah,
I feel like we've talked a lot about like the themes and stuff that in this movie, but like, damn, way to like, ding 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 ding. That's
I was
mining.
really chipping in. Yeah,
you got it.
Absolutely. I got you. I pick up what you put down. Yes,
so deep.
Digging deep.
No, but I think that, I think that like self-awareness helps you like be true to who you are. When you know yourself, then you can be your most authentic self. If you're like, hiding parts of yourself or like lacking that awareness, there could be things going on for you that like you don't really know what the cause is, but it's causing you distress and you're just kind of moving through life without that insight. I feel like the more they agree, the more you know about yourself, and like it also I think helps with confidence in your identity and like who you are. And I think you can build really impactful relationships based on like knowing who you are. So those are just some of the things that I just feel like it's really helpful in terms of like, you know, coping through challenges or like
Mm-hmm.
being true to yourself, um,
Mm-hmm.
not like having to deny parts of yourself. Um, yeah, I hope that's
Yeah.
helpful.
No, it is. And it just reminds me of a conversation I was having with my friend after we watched this movie, just about Ryan Coogler, because I had started watching a couple of interviews with him, and I'm like, he's so quirky, and I was like, he's just such an interesting like character. And my friend was like, well, he's operating in his authenticity, which feels like that's why his movies are so powerful, because we tend to operate
Yeah.
better in our authenticity. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
shut me up. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. um yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, but that's so true. It's like when
mhm.
you are operating, like, just all to encompass what you're saying, Jamie, is when you do operate in your own authenticity, which, i.e., you figure out who you are. That's when you can create your best work. That's when you can,
It's
um,
your voice.
it's your
Like
voice.
your
Yes.
voice is what's being heard, and like that's, you know, like everybody, most people deserve to have their voice heard and platformed, and like, I like, yeah, when it's like so much of yourself and like putting all of yourself out there,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very vulnerable thing. But again, it's like if you also build yourself up and know that what you are and what you have to offer is valuable, then
Mm-hmm.
like then you are creating such incredible things, and like that they could be received in such wonderful ways.
Right. By
But
the right people. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
you said, you also mentioned something about cognitive behavioral therapy, and I was curious about like
Mm-hmm.
what the connection was there for you, to see if I can better answer that part of your question.
Yeah, I just, as someone who benefits from cognitive behavioral therapy,
Hmm. Hmm.
the
Hmm.
work that I do with my therapist is mostly based in, well, for me particularly, authenticity, because that's something that I do value, because it was something that I don't think I had until the last couple of years of my life, just because, like, life has handed me situations where I felt like I couldn't be myself, or I had to be
Mm,
something for somebody else, right?
mm,
And so I didn't really get a chance to know myself in order to fully love myself, in order to be, like you said, vulnerable. And in turn, that reflects in relationships you have with people, romantic, familial, whatever. So I guess I was just asking, why is it so important? Because I know how important that deep dive was for me
mhm.
in that behavior, in cognitive behavioral therapy. So I was just asking why your thoughts on why you think it's important, because you also, if I'm not mistaken, perform cognitive behavioral therapy for
I
people.
dabble. I dabble in
I'm
CBT.
screaming.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that like, I mean, CBT aside, I think that there's a lot of different modalities that are
Mm,
based in like building insight, like insight in build like gaining awareness, self-awareness and insight, I would say is like at the core of therapy. And so there's plenty of different like approaches to therapy that can help a client kind of build that self-awareness.
mm,
And there's some people who have that self-awareness before they go into therapy, which like I also love working with those clients, because it's like, okay, cool, you like kind of know what's going on with yourself, and there's still stuff coming up, so like what is
yeah.
actually the blocker here?
Mm,
um
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
then you
that's
can kind of
fascinating.
like, yeah,
mm-hmm.
I find that like people, when I was in grad school, I remember a lot of people would be like, oh, like working with insightful clients is the best. It's so hard to work with people who like don't have that self-awareness, which I also think is like a pretty shitty and like elitist way to look at the work that you do, because it's kind of, you're already kind of showing your biases of like the types of people that you're valuing in the work you do, especially like as a social worker, and hearing this like from other people in both the social work profession and education, like academia.
Mm-hmm.
um but like I just view of it more of like what skills and strengths are people coming into this space with, and like it's not that people who might lack that insight and self-awareness like can't do well in therapy or can't benefit from therapy. I think it
Mm-hmm.
just means that like it might require a different approach, or like you have to again like work with your client to figure out what other strengths and things that they're already working with, so that you can leverage those to make it work in that space. But I find like if
Absolutely.
anything, I think it's more ironic that there are people like this is also for myself, because I have found over time that like I'm less interested in doing like a CBT therapy, because like I know those things and I am very insightful. And so then it
Mm-hmm.
becomes like using myself as this anecdote of like I know what all of my problems are.
Yeah.
Uh however, they they are unchanged, and so then it's like, okay, we gotta try something different here,
Right.
because like there's still something getting in the way. So like again, people are very self-aware and then coming into therapy, and there's still some kind of barrier that's getting in the way of like, what are you doing with all this insight and information you have about yourself, and
Exactly.
where can we kind of maybe dig deeper to figure out like why these recurring issues are still happening for you.
Yeah. I love that. And
Hmm.
that's so true. It's I've found that it is annoying knowing what the issue is, but
Hmm.
helpful to still have that person there to, like you said, help with the blockage. Because that's like my sessions now. It's like, okay, I know it's this, and this, but then she'll still tell me something that connects the dots, right? And
Yeah.
that's helpful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's still helpful to have like the person outside of you, even
Yes.
you best, but the person outside of you can at least hear what you're saying, and like because they don't live in your brain, they can help make those connections for you,
Mhm.
because it's like
Mhm.
I'm rattling around the same stupid shit in my head for the last 30 something years. Like
Mhm.
I know what lives rent free in my head, but like somebody outside of me can offer me a different perspective because they don't live up here, and that is very helpful to me.
Yeah. Agree.
And I hope that's
1,000%.
helpful to other people.
Go to therapy. Figure out if it works for y'all. It will. Great. And then my last question, just because we talk about chosen family in the sense of like there's an incredible scene where the head vampire looks at Annie, Haley's character. I get Annie and Mary. It's Annie?
Mary.
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 Okay. Mary's character. And it's because they were like, you can't come in here. And he's like, well, why is she in here? And then
Mm.
Annie is like, she's family.
Hmm.
So it's like kind of the chosen family type, but then the vampire is trying to make his chosen family, by
Hmm.
grabbing all these people. So my question is, can chosen family that stems from mutual traumas, like what the vampire is trying to do, or like trauma bonding, be considered a healthy relationship?
So I do want to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
You said trauma bonding, and I feel like that's
Yes.
often that's become like a real, like, for lack of a better phrase, like
Mm-hmm.
TikTok buzzword,
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like gets misused, or it's misunderstood in
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
that it's used on there. So you hear trauma bonding, and I think the first thought is like, oh, we both shared this like traumatic experience, and that has brought us closer together. What
Mm-hmm.
trauma bonding actually is a bond, is like the intense connection that somebody in like an abusive relationship like builds with the abuser, like the perpetrator
Got
of
it.
abuse in an abusive
Mm-hmm.
relationship. But again,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I understand like what I know what you're saying, and I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think that we have like a better phrase for what that experience is, like when you share a traumatic experience with someone and then you become closer friends as a result. It's
Yeah,
very long-winded. We need a catchphrase for that.
yeah.
um but
Develop it.
uh
You'll get all the monies.
I mean, I don't think like, thinking about the wild wacky experiences I've had in my life, and the ways in which friendships have fostered out of them, I I don't think, I think that there's something really valuable about experiencing something that someone else experienced, and so like you both now have this shared understanding of what it was like to go through that, and that you
Mm-hmm.
can build a connection from there, but like there also has to be more than just that.
Yeah.
And so like, do I think it's a good idea to traumatize a bunch of people to bring them closer together? No.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
But again, it's like, are there opportunities for people to build connections, because it's like you know what it's like to be in this situation, you went through this too, and like
Mm-hmm.
I feel seen and I feel validated because like you also went through it. Like every job I've ever worked at, all of the colleagues that I've remained friends with, it's all because we went through all of the same absolutely heinous experiences together, and like we're
Mm-hmm.
still friends because we like actually built friendships off of beyond those traumatic experiences. But
Yeah.
like, should we have had to live through all of these like wild fucking things in order to become friends? No.
No.
Right.
Yeah, I got it. All right, good.
Great job, Brian.
Wow.
Great job.
So I don't think that like creating that as the catalyst for like a chosen family is perhaps the right move. Maybe there are other ways that you can find your chosen family that doesn't necessarily involve like creating trauma for others to bring them
Yes.
all closer together.
Gorgeous. Great answer. Yes.
Good answer. Good answer.
Good
Thank
answer.
you.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Great.
Let's just like, trauma free. We're good. I'm good. That's enough. Do you know that meme? That's enough slices.
No.
Yes, I
Oh,
only
it's like
know
a
it because of
stupid.
you.
Okay, it's a stupid thing where someone's like, oh, do you want some cake or pie or whatever? And they're like, yeah, sure. And they like cut one and put it, and he's like, oh, great. And then cut and give another one. He's like, oh, wow, okay, like I'm good. And they cut another one. He's like, that's enough. They cut one, give another. That's enough slices. So it's
In
like
the
when you're
brain.
getting too much of something, that's the meme that I think about.
Yes. That's enough. Okay. If you run across it, please send it my way
I will
so
send
I
it to
can
you.
see it. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Great. Well, that's all the questions that I have. Should we rotten tomatin this?
Yeah, let's
Tomato.
do it. Sorry,
Excited to see what the score
yeah, I got
is.
excited. My apologies.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Too many slices. Too much.
What do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes?
100. I'm just going hot. I'm going high. I'm going hot.
Right. I am going to say 96.
This has a 98 currently.
Oh,
it had 100 at
good.
one point, 98. And the popcorn meter, aka the audience score, is 97.
Work.
Right.
Yes.
Everyone likes this.
98, 97.
So here's the critics' consensus. The critics' consensus is a rip-roaring fusion of masterful visual storytelling and toe tap and music. Writer-director Ryan Coogler's first original blockbuster reveals the full scope of his singular imagination. That's a good point.
Bro.
Everything else has been IPs, whether it's Rocky or
right.
or Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Yeah. I guess Fruitvale was based on something, so that's that it wasn't a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Fruitcake.
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 The audience says Ryan Coogler has not only delivered a deliciously vicious vampire hit, but an unapologetically black genre knockout ablaze with a killer cast and a cranked up score. Both of these are
Crank that score. Crank
that
Soulja
score.
Boy score.
Crank it. You gotta crank it. Okay.
Gotta crank that Soulja Boy.
You gotta crank
Literally
it.
is what I said. Crank that Soulja Boy track.
Crank. What do you think this has on
Do you remember the whole
Letterboxd?
dance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Smoke was a soldier boy.
He was. There you go. Connection.
Man.
He was a soldier boy. He was a preacher boy. He said, "See a Screecher boy." Okay. What do you think Sinners has on Letterboxd? As a reminder, it's up to 5 with decimals. So, Nikisha, you go first this time.
3.8.
And Jamie.
4.6.
Oh, wait, sorry. It goes up to 5. I don't know why I thought it went up to 4. Sorry, but go ahead. I'm wrong. I just wanted.
So you really wanted a 4.8. You really wanted a 4.8. Okay, that's fine. You're still wrong. It's a 4 point. It's a 4.3.
Great.
Okay. All right. That's probably one of the highest scores we've ever seen on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
In recent.
Yeah,
memory.
I think that's true.
Oh.
Just so you know, Mike Flanagan absolutely loved this movie.
Yeah.
Is he on Letterboxd?
Oh yeah, I follow Mike Flanagan on Letterboxd.
I want to follow Mike Flanagan.
He doesn't give anything stars. He just reviews them and puts hearts.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
He's allowed.
All right, here are the top 3 comments on Sinners. Number 3, nobody's ready for how much talk there is about eating pussy in this movie.
Truly.
Number 2, the kind of movie that reminds you why you fell in love with movies in the first place. Totally agree.
I was gonna say, Brian, is that your comment?
It is. But then number 1 is Jamie's comment. Finally, they cast Michael A. Jordan in something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny.
Honestly, I choose Michael C. Jordan, all of the above. Great. That's all I got for those. Those are great. So let's do the 4 S's.
Yeah.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The Talking Horrors 4 S's.
Okay. The 4 S's are skulls, scares, shakes, and suggestions. Skulls is how well this handles human behavior and mental health. Scares is how scary was this. Shakes is, is this a one and done? Can you shake it off? Can you not shake it off? And then we'll do our suggestions. But Jamie, why don't you get us started on the 4 S's?
For skulls, I gave this a 10. I got yeah. I don't know. I got nothing else.
Peopling.
The people are peopling to their fullest people-y extents.
Yes.
For scares, I gave it a 4 because I thought the scary moments were really effective, but it wasn't like a terrifying movie.
Absolutely.
Again, because of everything we talked about, like this movie's so much more than just horror.
Right.
For shakes, I gave this a 10. I know like recency bias, but also like I genuinely can't stop thinking about this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'm just going to be thinking about it for a very long time.
You got sinned.
You got sinned.
You got sinned.
You got sins on my hand and I won't go. Nikisha, what about you?
Yeah, mine are close. 10 for skulls, 5 for scares, and 10 for shakes. Like I still want to consume all of the media.
All of the media.
This movie. Yeah.
Mine's exactly yours, Nikisha. 10, 5, 10.
Work. Yeah.
I'll go first. Suggestions. My suggestion has already been said. But another recent movie that has moved into my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time is His House. Again, about a different type of racism. Dealing with similar themes in some ways. But a fucking brilliant movie. And as a reminder, my favorite scene in that movie, the scariest scene in that movie is not the horror scene. It's the thinking that she's found like community in a group of people and then like them not showing the His House is an incredible film that we do not talk about. We do not talk about enough.
So good.
So yeah, my suggestion is His House.
Nice. I'll go next because we were talking about Mike Flanagan, and this just had Midnight Mass written all over it for me.
Sure.
So, and then I'll also offer up Salem's Lot since this was the inspiration for this movie. But read the book.
Yes, read the book.
Read the book.
Jamie?
So I went with one obvious choice. I went with From Dusk Till Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
just because it definitely feels very adjacent vibes. But this also just made me think about the Watchmen TV series
Oh
a
yeah,
lot, which is also like an incredible piece of media that I
Mm-hmm.
highly, highly, highly recommend
that's a
everybody
great
watch.
suggestion.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
suggestion.
I know
Great
it's like
suggestion.
not horror per se, but like I mean, I find like the revisiting racist history truly horrifying, and like the way that they do it in this is horrifying. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that kind of makes it horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that only have one season?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like a
Yeah.
mini series, which I heard a rumor that they're taking it off of Max,
Let.
which is really
That's
wild and
crazy.
upsetting to me.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
But
watch
oh,
it
some
while you can. Boo. Yes.
um
Yeah, I wasn't even doing that.
Oh. Ah.
also Nikisha mentioned earlier about Lovecraft Country. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's all. I would buy all of these movies in box sets, or TV
Yeah.
shows in box sets for
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yes. Same. Gorgeous. Well, that wraps up our episode of Sinners. You can follow us on the socials, Instagram, TikTok at Talk Horror Pod. And producer Brian, where can they listen to us?
You actually, this is pretty cool. You can listen to us wherever you get podcasts.
Oh my God.
I know. You're all
What?
just like,
Wow.
what? Like
What?
on YouTube. Hi YouTube.
Oh, hey.
On someone's watching me. On Spotify. Hey, Spotty boys, Spotty girls, Spotty everyone's.
Nope.
We didn't
Spotty
like
No,
that
I
one.
didn't like that.
Spotty don't. Listeners, thank you. And then Apple Podcasts, of course. But don't forget to rate and review us there. It really helps us. 5 stars, please.
And thank
And thank you. Woo!
Now I have
Last
the song.
dance.
Oh,
Romance. Tonight.
well, yes, that song. But also, when you said somebody's watching me, oh, it feels like somebody's watching me.
Yeah. Oh man. I just
That's
want to
also
see
stuck in
this
my head.
movie again. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
In 70 millimeter, please. Like
That's I would like to
Yeah.
see this in 70 mil IMAX.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's 70 mil that I would like to. I don't know. I probably won't get the opportunity to, but like,
Mhm.
that's the way the cookie crumbles. I'm just so
Someone can just
thankful.
send me
A
the
projection
70
and-
millimeter.
yeah.
The whole setup, please. Thank you.
I'm just super thankful that Jamie and I were able to do date night and see
Actually
this in
see it.
theaters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was fucking
Oh, so fun.
amazing.
Yes.
It's
Frank's,
just
well,
I just want to say one last thing. I think it's so fucking cool that like movies are still being made that can enter into our favorite movies of all time. Like without
Yeah.
nostalgia attached to it. Like so many of our favorite
Mhm.
movies are nostalgia like leeching movies and like whatever. That's great. That's fine. But like the fact that like we like like even a couple years ago, His House for me, Everything Everywhere All at Once for Jamie, like this for both of us is just like art is still thriving and wonderful and teaching us and helping us cope and like reminding us that we're human. It's just so wonderful. It really, really is.
yeah. No, I agree 1001%. And yeah, that's a great way to end it. So let's end it there.
Last dance.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
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 Push the button.
Oh, God.